Good morning. Uh, we're going to talk about diseases today. Bill and Melinda Gates have worked very hard in Africa to improve just about everything, and their most hopeful project at this time is a total elimination of polio, and the odds that they'll do it, this is quite a possible thing to do. There's no reservoir. It reacts very nicely to substitution of modified virus, and the outlook looks good. So let's do a little bit of a tour, in starting with some of the other diseases, and see what can be done to improve the rate that their morbidity and mortality is better. First one, let's pick HIV. We've been battling this a long time and making progress in some areas, not doing too well in others. In the United States, there is a huge amount of energy and facilities working on this, and there are just a few little holes left. One is a very simple one, and that is the extension to all the states of needle exchange. It's a very simple thing, but there are some states that really don't provide for it anymore at this time, and there's absolutely no reason that this shouldn't be extended. Another thing to be concerned about is that next year, when the transition to Obamacare is a full thrust action, it's possible that a lot of the existing facilities and ones that could exist will get lost in the confusion about who is responsible for what. And this requires a strong administrative approach to this early, so this doesn't happen, and so that anybody who has a diagnosis of HIV can come in and get treatment, and also anyone who needs the diagnosis made should have very early access. But in the United States, a large part of the facilities are ready and should be able to go. Switching to Africa now, where there's been a huge process of heterosexual HIV, we really still have a very challenging picture, and it needs to be addressed on different fronts. One of the simplest things to do is to continue the effort to have circumcision of men, and this is something that cuts down the transmission by about 50%. Now, you might think, well, okay, we'll cut it in half. That's good, but actually, this is, we'll call it, a nonlinear process, so that cutting down the transmission by half, since there are multiple sequential contacts, will cut down the transmission by a lot more than half. And this is something that needs to be continued on different planes. It has to be relaxed, low-key. What you don't want to do is get a lot of emotional blowback where the action is resisted. And so there are certain things that should be done. One is you do need to actually pay people to have this done, and you need to pay them reasonably well, because otherwise the inertia is high. Another is you have to really want to enlist people who are living in the area, and you want to have it done by locals. So these will be one that will push the process on. And it should be something that is high prestige. It should be associated with training for other areas of health. And what you want is a win-win-win situation. This is pretty straightforward. The problem with HIV is, of course, widespread, and one thing you simply need to continue on is research into what can stop the epidemic and ways to prevent it. There's a lot of work being done on vaccines. So far, not doing too well, but this should continue, because if you can vaccinate and prevent, this would be the avenue that we have been going on, which has been totally successful with smallpox, and looks as if it'll be successful with polio. The other area, of course, is to do research on the drug treatment of it, and this is one that would benefit from a double approach, one by the established universities looking for basic breakthroughs, and the other is with the drug companies who, if they see somewhere to go, will test it very well, and this is something which needs a combined approach. Also, the continuation of the relaxation of some of the regulations of the Food and Drug Administration, which has helped bring the HIV drugs to market early, should be continued, and people who know the particular pathology and course of it should be available. All in all, this should be coordinated with other efforts, and this should be combined with approaches to decrease the number of wandering men in Africa who have to go far from home to work, and as a result are exposed to HIV in a larger number, so that the epidemic continues. We'll see you next time.